The streets of Atlanta are buzzing, social media is melting down, and the love and hip-hop universe is spinning in pure chaos tonight. Because the rumor that fans whispered about for weeks has finally been confirmed. Rasheeda is pregnant. And it's Kirk who broke the news. That's right, the Frost family is about to welcome a new baby, but instead of warm congratulations and happy tears, the announcement has triggered a storm of drama, disbelief, and emotional explosions that nobody saw coming. For years, viewers have followed the ups and downs of Rasheeda and Kirk's marriage, their scandals, their reconciliations, and their constant fight to protect their empire, but this revelation feels different. This time, the stakes are higher, the emotions are rawer, and the reactions are nothing short of jaw-dropping. The moment Kirk confirmed the pregnancy, fans lost all sense of calm. Some celebrated the news like it was the royal birth of hip-hop, cheering Rasheeda on for finding new joy after so many battles. But others, they weren't buying it. The comment sections lit up with accusations, suspicions, and wild theories. Who knew what? When did Kirk find out? And why does it feel like there's more to the story than the Frosts are letting on? And make no mistake, this isn't just a sweet family moment. The confirmation has reopened old wounds and pulled forgotten grudges back to the surface. Some cast members are questioning if Kirk's motives are as pure as he claims. Others are already whispering about hidden betrayals and family members who feel blindsided. Emotions are running high, and the Frost household isn't the only one feeling the impact. Friends, rivals, and fans alike are being drawn into the whirlwind of this announcement. And the fallout is only just beginning, because here's the truth. Rasheeda's pregnancy is more than a headline. It's a spark that's reignited unresolved conflicts, rekindled suspicions about loyalty, and divided an entire fanbase that doesn't know whether to celebrate, cry, or prepare for the next explosion. And if history tells us anything about Rasheeda and Kirk, it's that nothing in their story ever comes easy. When Kirk Frost first dropped the bombshell that Rasheeda was pregnant, the world around them seemed to shatter and reform in an instant. What could have been a tender family moment quickly transformed into a circus of suspicion, gossip, and barely contained rage. It wasn't just the fans who lost control. Inside the Frost household, voices were raised, accusations were thrown, and emotions that had been carefully buried for years suddenly clawed their way back to the surface. Rasheeda, though glowing with the quiet confidence of a woman who knew her truth, could feel the storm brewing around her. "Kirk, you really had to confirm it like that?" she asked him in a low, trembling voice that was equal parts frustration and disbelief. Kirk, who had been through scandal after scandal with her, stood firm but defensive. They were gonna find out anyway. She'd better it come from me than from some blog twisting the story. But even as he spoke, the weight of his words hung heavy in the air. Because this wasn't just about a baby, it was about trust, about the scars of their past, about all the times Kirk had made choices that cut Rasheeda deeper than anyone else could. And though she was willing to look forward, to embrace the new life growing inside her, she couldn't ignore the doubt flickering in her chest like a flame refusing to go out. The whispers from friends and castmates only fueled the tension. Carly Red was the first to call, her voice practically shaking with equal parts shock and sly delight. "Girl, is it true? You pregnant? By Kirk? Oh baby, this is about to be a whole season of drama." Rasheeda rolled her eyes but bit back a retort. She knew Carly loved mess, and this revelation was the biggest mess of all. Meanwhile, fans online had gone into complete meltdown mode. On Twitter, hashtags like #FrostBaby, #RASHEEDA pregnant, and #Kirk did what were trending within minutes. Some fans celebrated, flooding Rasheeda's Instagram with hearts and congratulations. Others accused Kirk of using the pregnancy as a way to win back sympathy after years of cheating scandals. "Kirk always finds a way to make it about him," one furious fan posted. "I don't trust it. Poor Rasheeda deserves better." The split in public opinion mirrored the divide in the Frost family itself. Rasheeda's sons were caught between pride and unease, unsure how to react. For them, the idea of a new sibling was both exciting and terrifying. One confided to a friend, "Man, I don't even know. We just got past all that old drama. And now this. It's like a bomb went off in the house again." The real fire, though, sparked during a family dinner the night Kirk announced the news. Rasheeda's mother, Ms. Shirlene, slammed her fork down and gave Kirk a glare sharp enough to cut glass. "Boy, you better not be playing with my daughter's heart again. We've been down this road too many times. You think a baby is gonna fix everything you've done broke?" Kirk leaned back, clearly irritated, and tried to keep his cool. "Ain't nobody playing, Mama This ain't about fixing nothing. This is about family, about moving forward." But his words only seemed to inflame her further. Moving forward. You mean dragging her back into your lies and mistakes? Rasheeda, clutching her glass of water tightly, finally snapped. Enough. I'm tired of everybody acting like I don't know what I'm doing. This is my life, my baby. And I don't need all this judgment every time Kirk opens his mouth. Her voice cracked, and the table went silent. For a brief moment, the weight of her pain silenced the accusations. Still, the drama didn't end there. The very next day, rumors began swirling that Kirk had already told certain cast members before Rasheeda herself even had a chance to share the news. Erica Dixon allegedly confronted Rasheeda off camera, demanding to know why she had to hear it through the grapevine. You supposed to be my girl, and I'm hearing from Stevie J that you pregnant. That ain't right, Sheeda. Rasheeda's patience, already frayed, snapped again. Do you think I owe everybody a play-by-play of my uterus? I can't even have one private moment without the whole world making it about them. But the damage was done. The sense of betrayal, whether real or imagined, was already spreading like wildfire through their circle. Adding fuel to the fire was a leaked video clip that began circulating online, showing Kirk at a club just weeks before the pregnancy news broke. In the video, Kirk was laughing a little too hard, his arm draped a little too comfortably around a woman who wasn't Rasheeda. Fans tore into him, accusing him of repeating old habits. Here we go again. One viral tweet read, "How you confirm a pregnancy with your wife and still out here looking shady?" Kirk fired back in an Instagram live, insisting that the woman was a business associate and that people were reaching. But the timing couldn't have been worse, and even Rasheeda couldn't help but feel the sting. In private, their arguments turned raw. Why can't you just stay out of situations that look bad? She demanded late one night, her hands pressed against her growing belly. Kirk shook his head, frustrated. You think I ain't trying? You think I don't know what people say about me? But no matter what I do, they always gonna paint me the villain. I was just talking, Sheeda. Just talking. Rasheeda looked at him, her eyes wet but fierce. And that's the problem. You don't understand that every move you make reflects on us, on me, on this baby. I can't keep cleaning up after your mistakes. The stress began to take a toll. Friends close to Rasheeda noticed her withdrawing, becoming quieter, as if the weight of carrying both a child and a fractured trust was pressing her down. Meanwhile, Kirk doubled down on trying to prove himself, planning surprise gestures, speaking more publicly about wanting to protect his family. But somehow, every move seemed to spark more suspicion than reassurance. When he posted a photo of Rasheeda's ultrasound with the caption, "Blessed beyond measure," the comments section exploded again. Some praised him, others dragged him mercilessly. Man, this dude don't deserve her. He's just using this baby to shine again. One comment with thousands of likes read, but behind the glitz of social media and the loud chatter of fans, the real conflict was in the quiet moments. The mornings when Rasheeda would wake up unsure if she could trust the man lying next to her. The nights when Kirk lay awake, wondering if he would ever escape the shadow of his past mistakes. And in those fragile hours, the truth became clear. This pregnancy wasn't just a new chapter, it was a test. A test of loyalty, a test of forgiveness, and a test of whether their love could truly survive the weight of the world, watching their every move. As whispers spread that old flames and rivals were circling, waiting to expose fresh secrets, the Frosts found themselves standing on the edge of another cliff. And if the past was any indication, the fall could be devastating. The days after Kirk's confirmation of Rasheeda's pregnancy became a whirlwind of chaos. Not just in their personal lives, but also in the entire love and hip-hop circle. Every cast member seemed to have an opinion, every blogger wanted an exclusive, and every fan was dissecting their relationship like it was a chess match. Rasheeda found herself dodging phone calls, ignoring texts, and scrolling through social media with a mix of anger and exhaustion. She wanted peace, but peace was the one thing she couldn't buy. At Frost Bistro, where she had hoped to find some sense of normalcy, the drama followed her through the doors. A group of fans spotted her the moment she walked in, their phones already recording. "Rasheeda, is it true? How far along are you? Is Kirk being faithful this time?" The questions stabbed at her like needles, and though she managed a polite smile, inside, she was boiling. Later that evening, she confronted Kirk about it. "You see what your little announcement did? I can't even go to my own restaurant without people treating me like a headline instead of a human." Kirk rubbed his temples, tired himself, but unwilling to admit defeat. "Sheeda, I was trying to protect you. Better they hear it from me than from a rumor mill. But you right, maybe I should have thought it through." His attempt at apology only made her angrier. Thought it through. Kirk, you never think it through. You just do whatever you feel like and leave me to deal with the mess. Her voice cracked, the weight of years of repeated patterns crushing her resolve. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast smelled blood in the water. Mimi Faust, who had her own share of messy storylines, was quick to stir the pot. In a confessional-style video, she smirked at the camera and said, "You know Rasheeda don't deserve all this, but Kirk. He got a history. And history repeats itself. Let's see how long this fairy tale lasts." Her words went viral, fanning the flames of doubt. Even worse, rumors began to spread that Jasmine Washington, the very woman who once nearly broke the Frost family apart, had been spotted at the same club where Kirk was filmed just weeks earlier. Screenshots of grainy photos popped up online, showing a woman who looked suspiciously like Jasmine in the background while Kirk laughed with his business associate. Fans immediately connected the dots, even if the dots weren't really there. "Oh hell no," one viral TikTok said. "Don't tell me Kirk out here with Jasmine again while Rasheeda's pregnant. This man ain't never gone change." Rasheeda tried to ignore the noise, but the whispers eventually reached her ears. One night, Carly Red showed up at her house, uninvited but carrying a bottle of wine and a phone full of receipts. "Girl, I know you don't want to hear it, but you need to see this," Carly said, sliding her phone across the table. The images weren't clear, but they were enough to send Rasheeda's stomach into knots. "Carly, why are you bringing this to me? You think I don't have enough stress already?" she snapped, her patience razor-thin. Carly shrugged, feigning innocence. "I'm just looking out for you, sis. Better you hear it from me than from the blogs." The irony of those words stung, echoing Kirk's earlier defense. That night, Rasheeda confronted Kirk again. "Were you with Jasmine? Tell me the truth, Kirk. Don't make me look stupid in front of the whole world again." Kirk's face twisted in frustration. "Sheeda, I already told you, I wasn't with Jasmine. People see what they want to see. I was at that club for business, and I'm sick of defending myself over nothing." His raised voice shook the room, but Rasheeda wasn't intimidated. "You don't get it, do you? It's not about whether you were or weren't with her. It's about the fact that I can't trust you not to put yourself in situations where it even looks like you could be. I'm carrying your child, and I'm the one who has to deal with this stress while you out there acting reckless." The argument spiraled until both of them were shouting over each other, their words sharp and bitter. Finally, Rasheeda broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know if I can do this, Kirk. I don't know if I can keep being strong for the both of us." Her voice cracked with raw pain, and for the first time in a long time, Kirk was silent. He reached for her, but she pulled away, retreating into their bedroom and locking the door. The tension in their home seeped into every part of their lives. At Frost Bistro, employees whispered behind their backs, worried that the drama would hurt business. On social media, fans argued endlessly, some defending Kirk, others demanding Rasheeda leave him once and for all. Even family members grew divided. Ms. Shirlene openly sided with her daughter, blasting Kirk at every opportunity. "That boy ain't never gone change. He lucky Rasheeda even still speak his name after all the pain he done caused." But Kirk's own relatives defended him, insisting he was trying to do better. The divide created a tug-of-war over their unborn child, with everyone acting like they had a stake in the baby's future. In the midst of all this, Rasheeda tried to focus on her pregnancy, but the stress was relentless. At one prenatal appointment, doctors warned her to keep calm for the sake of the baby. She nodded, forcing a smile, but inside she was breaking. After the appointment, she sat in her car, alone, scrolling through hateful comments online. "Sheeda, you dumb for staying with him. Sheeda, blink twice if you need help. Sheeda deserves better." The chorus of strangers' voices weighed on her more than she wanted to admit. But the biggest twist came when a mysterious DM slid into Rasheeda's Instagram inbox. The sender claimed to have proof that Kirk had been lying not just about the club, but about something bigger. Attached was a screenshot of text messages allegedly from Kirk to another woman, messages filled with flirty banter and promises to talk soon. The sender's identity was hidden, but the timing was brutal. Just as Rasheeda was beginning to believe Kirk's denials, this message shattered her fragile trust again. She confronted him immediately, shoving the phone into his hands. "Explain this, Kirk. Explain why some random woman is sending me your text messages if you ain't doing nothing wrong." Kirk's face paled, his bravado faltering for the first time. "Sheeda, this ain't real. Anybody can fake texts. You really gone let some anonymous account mess up everything we building." His words rang hollow, and Rasheeda's silence spoke volumes. For the first time, she considered the possibility that this pregnancy might not bring them together but drive them further apart. Word of the leaked texts spread quickly, with blogs running headlines like "Kirk Frost caught again." And is Rasheeda done this time? Fans dissected every pixel of the screenshots, debating whether they were real or fabricated. But the truth almost didn't matter anymore. The damage was done, and the Frost's already fragile world was spiraling into deeper chaos. And just when it seemed the drama had reached its peak, another twist emerged, one that nobody could have predicted, not even Rasheeda herself. The morning after the leaked texts surfaced, Rasheeda woke up to find her phone buzzing uncontrollably on the nightstand. Notifications poured in by the hundreds, each one dragging her deeper into the chaos. She sat up slowly, her stomach heavy not only with new life but with dread. Kirk was already awake, pacing the bedroom like a man waiting on a verdict. "Sheeda, before you look at that phone, let me explain," he pleaded, his voice raw with desperation. She ignored him, unlocking her phone only to find herself staring at a tidal wave of messages, tags, and screenshots. A popular gossip blog had dropped another bombshell. An anonymous insider claimed that Kirk had been meeting someone behind Rasheeda's back, someone who wasn't Jasmine but someone new, an up-and-coming artist he was supposedly mentoring. The article suggested late-night studio sessions, secret dinners, and a string of messages that made it impossible to ignore. Rasheeda's blood ran cold. Another woman? Kirk, really? After everything? She asked, her voice trembling between fury and heartbreak. Kirk threw his hands up. "This is a setup. You think I'm stupid enough to do that again? They tryna ruin us, Sheeda. They tryna ruin me." His defense sounded familiar, almost rehearsed, like the same tired tune he had played in the past. And that was the problem. Every denial felt like déjà vu. Meanwhile, the Love and Hip Hop cast couldn't resist weighing in. Young Jock, never one to stay quiet, went live on Instagram, laughing while sipping from a red cup. "Man, Kirk stay in the hot seat. My boy got more drama than a soap opera. Rasheeda, sis, you stronger than me, 'cause I would have been left." His live drew thousands of viewers, fans commenting nonstop with fire emojis and clown faces. Jock's joke stung Kirk deeply, especially because it came from someone he considered a friend. "Jock out here clowning me while I'm trying to hold my family together," Kirk muttered under his breath. As if things couldn't get worse, Jasmine herself decided to step into the spotlight again. She posted a cryptic story on Instagram, a simple photo of a baby bottle emoji, followed by the words, "Some truths can't stay hidden forever." Within minutes, blogs reposted it. Fans speculated wildly, and the narrative spun out of control. Was she implying Kirk had another baby on the way? Was she stirring the pot just to keep herself relevant? Rasheeda saw the post and felt her knees buckle. She whispered, almost to herself, "I can't keep doing this." Later that night, Rasheeda confronted Kirk with Jasmine's post. "Tell me this ain't what it looks like. Tell me you didn't go back down that road." Kirk slammed his fist on the counter, his composure finally breaking. "I told you, Sheeda, I ain't got nothing going on with Jasmine. She just messy, trying to stay in the headlines off my name. You really think I'd risk losing you, losing my family, when we got another baby coming?" His voice cracked, his frustration bleeding into something closer to fear. But Rasheeda wasn't convinced. The house became a battleground, every room charged with tension. Dinner conversations turned into arguments, car rides into silent standoffs. Even their sons began to feel the weight of the chaos. One night, one of them said quietly, "Mom, I just want peace in the house. I don't want to keep hearing y'all fight." Rasheeda's heart broke at the words. But what could she say? Peace felt impossible when the walls around her seemed to be closing in. At the same time, the outside world continued to press in. Producers for Love and Hip Hop were pushing hard to capture the drama for the show. They saw the pregnancy, the rumors, the accusations as ratings gold. A private meeting with Mona Scott-Jung ended with her saying, "Look, this is the storyline. The fans want to see it. You two are the heartbeat of this franchise, and we can't ignore what's happening. The cameras need to roll." Rasheeda shook her head, tears brimming. "You don't understand. This ain't just TV. This is my life. My child's life." Mona leaned in, her voice calm but firm. "Sheeda, your life has always been the story. That's why people connect with you. But if you want to take control of the narrative, you gotta be the one telling it." The choice weighed heavily on Rasheeda. Part of her wanted to retreat completely, to shut off the cameras and protect her baby from the chaos. But another part of her knew Mona was right. The story was already out there, spiraling beyond her control. If she stayed silent, the world would write the script for her, painting her as the broken, betrayed wife once again. And Rasheeda was tired of being cast in that role. Kirk, meanwhile, wrestled with his own demons. Alone in his car one night, he recorded a shaky video on his phone. "Look, I know y'all don't believe in me no more. I know my past don't make it easy. But I love my wife. I love my family. And I ain't out here doing what y'all think I'm doing. People want to see me fail, but I refuse to let that happen." He posted the video on Instagram, and within hours it had over 1 million views. Fans flooded the comments, half calling him a liar, half begging Rasheeda to give him another chance. But the real breaking point came during a heated confrontation at Frost Bistro. Carly Red, Mimi Faust, and Erica Dixon were all there, each of them armed with their own opinions. Carly, ever the instigator, smirked across the table. "So Sheeda, you really believe him?" After all this, Mimi added fuel to the fire. "Girl, once a cheater, always a cheater. You know better." Rasheeda clenched her jaw, tired of the constant scrutiny. "Y'all think you know my life, but you don't. You see what the cameras show, what the blogs say, but you don't know the nights I cried myself to sleep. You don't know the mornings I still chose to fight for my family." Her voice cracked, the raw emotion silencing the table. Kirk, seated beside her, tried to back her up. "Look, I know I ain't perfect. I know I messed up in the past. But this right here, this baby, this is our chance to do it right, to finally move forward." His words hung in the air, heavy with both hope and doubt. But just as the tension seemed too cool, Carly dropped another bomb. She pulled out her phone, flashing a message she claimed was from a mutual friend. "So you saying you ain't messing around, Kirk? Then explain why somebody sent me this." On her screen was a blurry photo of a man who looked disturbingly like Kirk, sitting in a dimly lit lounge with a woman leaning against him. The image was unclear, but it was enough to reignite the fire. The table erupted. Erica shouted, "See, I knew it. He lying." Mimi shook her head. "Girl, I don't know how you do it. You better than me." Rasheeda's face turned pale as she stared at the image, her stomach twisting in knots. "Kirk, is that you?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Kirk slammed his hand on the table, his patience gone. "That ain't me. Y'all believe anything you see on a damn screen. You think I got time to be sneaking around when I'm with my wife every damn day?" His anger was real, but so was Rasheeda's doubt. That night, back at home, the argument reached a boiling point. "I can't keep defending you, Kirk. Every time I try to trust you, something else pops up. Do you know what this stress is doing to me? To this baby?" Rasheeda's sobs shook her body, her pain laid bare. Kirk dropped his head, his own eyes glistening. "Sheeda, I swear to God, I ain't doing what they saying. I'm trying. I really am. But I feel like no matter what I do, the world won't let me be better. And now I'm losing you because of lies." The silence that followed was suffocating. For the first time, both of them realized that their love was standing on the edge of a cliff. One more misstep, and everything could shatter beyond repair. But just as Rasheeda was preparing herself to make an impossible choice, fate delivered yet another twist, one that would turn their world upside down again and leave fans gasping for air. The tension on set had reached a fever pitch, with crew members whispering among themselves, wondering how much more could unfold before the entire production collapsed under the weight of scandal and personal grudges. Kirk, his voice low but sharp, tried to regain control of the narrative. But the damage was already spreading like wildfire. Jasmine stood her ground, her eyes filled with both defiance and vulnerability, refusing to back down in the face of Rasheeda's fury. Every word exchanged felt like another cut, another wound to a family and a brand already on shaky ground. Mendices leaned back in his chair, smirking as if he knew that no matter the outcome, chaos was his ally. The cameras caught every glare, every clenched fist, every trembling lip, ensuring that nothing would remain private once the footage hit the screen. What had begun as a personal dispute had now spiraled into a spectacle that blurred the line between entertainment and real life. Heartbreak, leaving everyone to wonder who would walk away unscathed and who would be forever marked by the fallout. Rasheeda, still breathing heavily from the altercation, turned her attention back to Kirk, demanding answers he seemed unwilling or unable to provide. Jasmine, meanwhile, refused to be silenced, pointing out the hypocrisy in being vilified for telling the truth while lies that had been festering for years were conveniently ignored. The set was no longer a stage but a battlefield, each exchange another strike in a war of pride, betrayal, and survival. And as the cameras rolled on, the looming question remained: would this family drama destroy them all, or would it give them the twisted spotlight they seemed unable to escape? Kirk's attempt to hold the situation together was slipping fast, his voice cracking as he tried to balance defending himself against Rasheeda's wrath while also keeping Jasmine from further exposing the private details he desperately wanted buried. Rasheeda's glare could have cut glass, her words sharp, accusing him of years of dishonesty and betrayal that went far beyond what had just exploded in front of the cameras. Jasmine, standing tall despite the weight of every eye in the room on her, kept her tone steady, refusing to let the shame or pressure silence her. Crew members shuffled nervously, torn between their duty to keep the show running and the instinct to intervene before things escalated even further. Every second stretched unbearably, the silence between words louder than the shouting had been, as if everyone knew that the next line spoken could either shatter what little control remained or finally push the cast past the point of no return. Mendices smirked again, clearly entertained by the implosion happening before him, while a few others exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that what was being revealed was not just drama for the cameras but the raw unraveling of relationships that had taken years to build. The set no longer felt like a safe place. It was charged, volatile, ready to erupt at any moment. Kirk wiped his forehead, avoiding Rasheeda's eyes, as Jasmine pressed on with her truths, and Rasheeda's breathing grew heavier with each revelation. No one dared step in, because in that moment, they all understood one thing: history was being made, and once it aired, there would be no undoing it. The room was suffocating with tension, each breath heavy as though the air itself carried the weight of betrayal. Rasheeda's voice shook, not with fear but with the kind of rage that comes from wounds cut too deep. So this is what my marriage has become, Kirk, a stage for lies, secrets, and humiliation. Her words echoed through the set, cameras rolling without mercy, capturing every syllable, every twitch of pain that crossed her face. Kirk tried to steady himself, fumbling for composure, his words stumbling out like fragile excuses. Rasheeda, I never meant for it to come out like this. I was going to tell you when the time was right, when we were ready as a family. But Jasmine cut him off sharply, her tone slicing through the noise like a blade. Ready? Kirk, you left me with no choice but to protect myself and my child. I wasn't about to sit back and let you parade around as the perfect husband while denying the truth about the Frost baby. The room collectively gasped at the phrase, the Frost baby, as if the words themselves had unlocked a storm no one could contain. Rasheeda's hand trembled at her side, not from weakness but from the strength it took to keep herself from lashing out physically. The betrayal was no longer abstract, it was standing right in front of her, woven into Jasmine's unflinching gaze and Kirk's broken posture. Fans watching from home would later describe this moment as the exact second the Frost legacy cracked, the foundation of trust crumbling beneath the glossy image they had projected for years. Rasheeda's voice turned cold, icy enough to freeze the set. You humiliated me in front of the world, Kirk. And now you expect me to play along, to swallow my pride while you father children behind my back. You've lost all respect for me, for this family. Kirk's hands shook as he tried to step closer, but Rasheeda backed away, the physical distance symbolic of the growing chasm between them. Rasheeda, please, he pleaded, his tone desperate, eyes glistening under the harsh studio lights. This isn't how I wanted it. You're the love of my life. You're my queen. Jasmine doesn't mean what you think. This baby doesn't mean what you think. We can work through this, just like we always do. But Jasmine's laugh, bitter and sharp, broke through his plea. Stop lying, Kirk. You begged me not to tell her. You promised me that you'd come clean, and you didn't. You kept living this double life, thinking I'd stay silent forever. But I won't. Rasheeda's lips curled in disbelief, her eyes darting between the two of them, each second fueling her fury. So this is it. You think you can make a fool out of me twice. First with your lies, and now with your silence. Do you even understand what you've done to me, to our family? Her words shook with a pain that reached into her bones. A pain the cameras couldn't fully capture, but the silence of the crew suggested they all felt it. At that moment, Kelsey, their daughter, burst onto the scene, her face pale with disbelief. Mom, is it true? Is there really another baby? Her voice cracked with the innocence of someone caught in a storm too big for her to control. Rasheeda's eyes filled with tears at the sight of her daughter, the reality of the moment cutting even deeper. She turned toward Kirk, demanding through her daughter's pain. Tell your own child the truth. Kirk's knees nearly buckled as the gravity of the moment bore down on him. Fans later described this confrontation as the point where sympathy for Kirk completely vanished. His image shattered not just as a husband but as a father. He tried to form words, but his throat locked up. The silence was answer enough, and Kelsey broke down, sobbing into Rasheeda's arms. Rasheeda held her tightly, whispering, I've got you, baby. I'll always protect you, even if he won't. The betrayal was now complete, sealed not just in marriage but in family. And the Frost Empire seemed to collapse in slow motion. Jasmine, though unapologetic, looked uneasy for the first time, realizing the weight of what she had unleashed. She muttered, almost defensively, "I didn't do this to hurt you, Rasheeda. I did it because the truth needed to come out. You deserve to know who you're married to." But Rasheeda snapped back, her voice sharp and trembling. "You don't get to decide what I deserve. You're nothing but a shadow in my marriage, and Kirk brought you there. But trust me, both of you will regret crossing me." The room buzzed with whispers, fans online already in meltdown, hashtags exploding with hashtag #FrostBabyDrama and hashtag #RASHEEDA, deserves better. In living rooms across the country, viewers leaned closer to their screens, watching the unraveling of a dynasty they thought was unshakable. Every tear, every accusation, every pause between words was amplified into a cultural moment that no one could look away from. Rasheeda, normally the composed center of the storm, had been pushed to her breaking point, and the audience could feel that nothing would ever be the same again. But just as the tension reached its peak, an unexpected twist unfolded. Mama Shirlene, Rasheeda's fiery mother, stormed onto the set, her voice booming with authority. "I told you, Rasheeda. I told you this man would keep hurting you. And now look. Look at what he's done to this family." Her presence ignited the fire even further, turning a painful confrontation into an all-out family war. She pointed a finger at Kirk, her words scathing. "You don't deserve my daughter. You never did. And now you've embarrassed her in front of the whole world. Shame on you, Kirk, shame." The eruption was unstoppable now, with Rasheeda caught between her mother's fury, her daughter's heartbreak, and her husband's desperate pleas. Fans flooded social media, some siding with Rasheeda's strength, others in disbelief that Kirk could let things fall this far. And somewhere in the chaos, the truth lingered. There was no going back. The Frost family name had been scarred, and the world was watching as every painful second played out in real time. Would Rasheeda walk away once and for all? Would Kirk ever find redemption in the eyes of his family? Or was this the beginning of a downfall no one could have predicted? The stage was set, the emotions raw, and the drama far from over. Mama Shirlene's voice thundered through the studio, her words cutting sharper than any blade. "You've humiliated my child for the last time, Kirk," she roared, stepping closer until she was almost nose-to-nose with him. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the wildfire in her eyes, the unfiltered rage of a mother who had watched her, the unfiltered rage of a daughter suffer one betrayal to many. Kirk raised his hands in a weak attempt to calm her down, his voice trembling. "Shirlene, please. You don't understand." But she didn't let him finish. "Don't you dare tell me what I don't understand. I saw through you from day one. I knew you'd never keep your vows. And now, here we are, with my daughter's dignity dragged through the mud, her child crying, and another woman standing here claiming your baby." Gasps erupted across the set, crew members whispering while cameras swung back and forth to catch every trembling face. The atmosphere was electric, buzzing with the kind of tension that only explodes once in a generation of television. Rasheeda, still holding her sobbing daughter close, finally found her voice again, but this time it wasn't a scream or an accusation. It was quiet, almost too calm, which made it even more dangerous. "You've broken me in ways I didn't think were possible, Kirk, and now you've broken our child too." She gently stroked Kelsey's hair, her eyes never leaving Kirk's guilty face. "How do you fix that? How do you undo this?" Her words hung heavy in the air, pressing down on everyone in the room, especially Kirk, who seemed to shrink under the weight of his own guilt. Jasmine shifted uneasily beside him, her earlier defiance faltering. She had come in ready to expose the truth. But now that the truth had detonated like a bomb, she realized the fallout was far worse than she anticipated. Kirk reached out his hand toward Rasheeda, his voice breaking. "I love you. That hasn't changed. I made mistakes, but I can be a better man. Don't let this end us." But Rasheeda stepped back, her face twisted with disbelief. "End us, Kirk? We ended the moment you let another woman carry your child while you stood by and lied to me. Don't you dare speak about love when you've turned it into something ugly." The words hit Kirk like a slap, and he turned his eyes away, unable to face the devastation he had caused. Fans online were already exploding with reactions, typing furious comments like "Rasheeda deserves so much better," and "Kirk Frost is cancelled." Social media platforms crashed under the weight of hashtags like #FrostBaby, #TeamRASHEEDA, and #FrostFamilyDrama. The world wasn't just watching, they were judging, loudly, and there was no escaping the storm outside those studio doors. Mama Shirlene, not done with her tirade, turned her venom toward Jasmine. "And you, standing here, thinking you've done some noble thing by telling the truth. Don't flatter yourself. You knew what you were doing. You knew this would destroy my daughter, and you did it anyway. You're no innocent." Jasmine clenched her jaw, fighting back tears, but she stood her ground. I wasn't going to hide forever. I'm not the one who made the lies. I just refused to keep living in them. I didn't want to hurt Rasheeda, but she deserves honesty, even if it cuts deep. The conviction in her voice sparked another round of gasps, as if the audience couldn't decide whether to hate her or pity her. Some saw her as a villain, others as a woman caught in Kirk's web of deceit. But no one could deny the chaos she had unleashed. At that moment, the producers stepped in, whispering frantically into their headsets. They could see this was spiraling into territory even they hadn't expected. What was meant to be dramatic television had now become raw devastation, too real to control, too painful to script. But the cameras kept rolling because they knew this was history, the kind of scene that would be replayed and dissected for years. Rasheeda finally turned her full attention to Jasmine, her tone low but laced with fury. You think you've given me honesty? No. What you've given me is scars. And those scars will never fade. You and Kirk both stole something from me that I can't get back. Trust. Jasmine swallowed hard, tears glistening in her eyes now, but she refused to back down. I never asked for this, Rasheeda. I just wanted him to be accountable. I'm not your enemy, even if it feels like I am. The words stung because they carried a sliver of truth, but Rasheeda wasn't ready to hear it. She turned back to Kirk, her voice trembling with exhaustion and fury. You know what the worst part is, Kirk? I stayed. Through every rumor, every whisper, every betrayal, I stayed. I believed in us when nobody else did, and this is how you repay me. With another baby, another betrayal, another wound I can't heal. Her voice cracked, and the cameras zoomed in on her tear-streaked face. The image destined to become the most iconic screenshot in love and hip-hop history. Fans online began splicing clips in real time, editing Rasheeda's tearful confrontation into viral memes and heartfelt posts. One trending caption read, "When the Queen finally breaks, #RASHEEDA strong." Kelsey, still crying, pulled away from her mother long enough to confront her father directly. You ruined everything. Dad, you ruined our family. Do you even care what this is doing to me? To us. Her words, raw and unfiltered, landed harder than anything else. Kirk's face crumpled as if the weight of his daughter's pain was finally too much to bear. He reached out to her, but she recoiled, hiding her face in Rasheeda's chest. The rejection gutted him, his shoulders slumping as he realized he was losing not just his wife but his daughter too. Fans online described this moment as the death of Kirk's image, the exact second the man who once styled himself as the patriarch of the Frost Empire became a figure of ridicule and shame. The silence that followed was unbearable, heavy enough to drown in. Mama Charlene was the first to break it. Rasheeda, you don't need him. You never did. You've built yourself up, and you can do it again without this dead weight dragging you down. Her words ignited the audience, who erupted into cheers and applause, as if the viewers themselves had chosen sides. Kirk stood there, broken eyes darting desperately between his wife, his daughter, and his mother-in-law, but finding no refuge anywhere. He was the villain now, and the world had crowned him as such. And just when it seemed like the chaos had reached its peak, another twist shocked everyone. Jasmine revealed a detail that no one saw coming. She raised her chin, her voice steady but trembling at the edges. This isn't just about a baby, Rasheeda. It's about the future. Kirk promised me things that would change all of our lives. He wasn't just cheating, he was planning a whole other life. The studio erupted with gasps so loud they drowned out the microphones. Rasheeda's eyes widened, her fury reigniting. What are you talking about? Jasmine hesitated for a moment, as if weighing the consequences, then spoke the words that set the room ablaze. He told me he was going to leave you, that we'd build a family together, away from all this. That's the truth he didn't want you to know. The explosion was instant. Rasheeda staggered back as if struck by lightning, her breath catching in her throat. Mama Charlene shrieked, "Lord have mercy," while Kelsey covered her ears, unable to bear any more pain. Kirk shouted desperately, "That's a lie. Jasmine, don't do this." But the damage was already done. The cameras zoomed in on Rasheeda's face, capturing the exact moment her world shattered completely. Fans online went feral, typing comments like, "This is the end of the Frost marriage and I can't breathe. This drama is insane." The hashtags multiplied, the world outside spinning faster and faster as the Frost family's implosion consumed every corner of the internet. Rasheeda, her chest heaving, whispered words that cut like glass. "You were planning to replace me with her, after everything we've been through." Kirk shook his head violently, tears streaming down his face. "No, Rasheeda, it's not true, I swear. She's twisting everything. I was confused. I said things I didn't mean, but Jasmine fired back with venom. Don't you dare call me a liar now, Kirk. You looked me in the eye and told me you wanted a new life. Don't act brand new because she's finally hearing it. The set felt like a war zone now. Alliances breaking, truths colliding, and no clear path to resolution. Fans watching at home were left screaming at their screens, some throwing pillows in disbelief, others clutching their chests as if they could feel Rasheeda's pain themselves. The Frost name was no longer just a storyline, it was a cultural earthquake, shaking the foundation of reality television itself. Rasheeda's sobs echoed through the studio, the sound raw, primal, echoed through the studio, the sound raw, primal, who had watched her, and unforgettable. Mama Shirlene wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering, "We're gonna get through this, baby. You don't need him, you're stronger than this storm." The cameras zoomed out slowly, capturing the broken family standing under the harsh lights. A tableau of betrayal, fury, and heartbreak. And still, the audience knew. This wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of the Frost family's most explosive chapter yet. The studio had become a battlefield of emotions, the walls themselves seeming to vibrate under the weight of Rasheeda's sobs and Kirk's desperate denials. The floor sticky with betrayal that no mop could clean. The air smelled of sweat, tears, and rage. And yet the cameras refused to blink, capturing every jagged edge of this implosion as if it were oxygen for the audience at home. Rasheeda, her eyes bloodshot and swollen, clutched her chest as Jasmine's words replayed in her head like a cruel echo she could not escape. He told me he was going to leave you. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was premeditated. It was a plan. A scheme that mocked every vow and every moment of loyalty she had given him. Mama Shirlene clutched her daughter like a shield, her voice trembling with fury. "You see, Rasheeda, you see what I've been saying for years. This man doesn't deserve you. He never did. He planned a whole new life while you were holding him down." Her voice cracked with righteous anger, and the studio audience, sensing her truth, erupted in supportive cheers. Their clapping and shouting becoming a chorus of condemnation aimed squarely at Kirk. Kelsey sat crumpled beside her mother, her mascara streaking down her cheeks as she whimpered, "Daddy, how could you do this? How could you look me in the eye and pretend like we were still a family?" Her voice was like a dagger, piercing Kirk's chest in a way no stranger's judgment ever could. He staggered forward, knees nearly buckling, his hands trembling as he reached out toward his daughter, but she recoiled as if his touch burned. "Don't call me daddy anymore," she hissed through her tears, "because you don't act like one." The room gasped collectively, and Kirk's face collapsed into a grimace of pure agony. His eyes red, his lips quivering as he whispered, "Don't say that, please, don't take that away from me." But Jasmine wasn't done. The storm had only begun to thunder. She raised her chin defiantly, her voice quaking but resolute. "Don't act like I'm the villain here. You made promises, Kirk. You told me you were done with this marriage. You told me we'd raise this child together, and you'd finally stop hiding. Don't you dare call me a liar now just because your little empire is crumbling in front of everyone." Her words cut through the air, slicing Kirk open further, while Rasheeda's fury grew into something volcanic, her voice booming with venom. "You disgusting coward. You told her you'd leave me. You actually planned to throw away everything we built together. Every sacrifice, every tear, every ounce of my loyalty, all for her." She pointed at Jasmine like she was pointing at the devil himself. This side piece was worth destroying your family for." The cameras zoomed in on her trembling hand, the veins visible. Her anger so palpable it was as if it radiated heat across the room. Kirk's face was a mask of panic as he tried to balance between his wife and his mistress, his voice shaking. "Rasheeda, please, don't believe her. I said things I didn't mean. I was confused. I was under pressure. I never intended to leave you. You are my life, my queen, my partner." But Rasheeda cut him off with a scream so raw it silenced even the audience. "Stop lying. Every word out of your mouth is poison. You're not a man, you're a coward hiding behind excuses, and I'm done swallowing them." She shoved him back with both hands, and the crew gasped as Kirk stumbled, nearly losing his balance. He didn't retaliate, he couldn't. The truth was crushing him far more brutally than any physical shove could. Mama Shirlene pounced on the moment, her voice booming like thunder. "You think you can play with women's lives, Kirk? You think you can drag my daughter and granddaughter through hell while building castles with your lies? You're a disgrace. You're no man. A real man protects his family. He doesn't gamble them away for a cheap thrill." Her finger jabbed his chest, each word a hammer pounding nails into the coffin of his image. The crowd clapped and roared, Fans online sending waves of support through hashtags like hashtag Shirlene spoke facts and hashtag RASHEEDA deserves better. Social media boiled over with fury, memes popping up in real time mocking Kirk, painting him as a clown, a fraud, a villain whose empire had finally collapsed. Kelsey sobbed harder, her young voice trembling as she said, "I can't believe you were planning a whole new life without us. Was I just nothing to you?" Kirk fell to his knees in front of her, his tears finally spilling uncontrollably. "No, baby, never. You're my world, you and your mom, you're everything. I was weak, I was stupid, but I never stopped loving you." But Kelsey yanked her face away, burying it back into Rasheeda's chest, her rejection breaking him in ways words could not capture. The cameras zoomed in on his knees hitting the floor, a symbolic image of a king brought down, a man humbled by the consequences of his lies. And then, just as the storm seemed to reach its peak, Jasmine dropped yet another bombshell. Her voice shook, but she didn't falter. "This isn't just about words, Rasheeda. He didn't just tell me he'd leave you, he showed me. He took me to see houses. He talked about schools for our child. He even introduced me to people as his future wife. Don't you dare believe he didn't mean it." The audience shrieked, some covering their mouths, others shouting "no," as if trying to undo the damage. Rasheeda froze, her body trembling as if struck by lightning, her face drained of color, and she whispered, almost to herself, "You planned a future with her, while I was still sleeping in your bed." Her knees buckled, and Mama Shirlene and Kelsey grabbed her before she could fall, holding her upright as her body gave out under the weight of betrayal. Kirk screamed in desperation, his voice ragged, "It's not true. She's exaggerating. Jasmine, stop it. Stop destroying me like this." But Jasmine only glared back, her voice steady, "You destroyed yourself, Kirk. Don't blame me for your lies." The audience erupted into chaos, some booing Jasmine, others booing Kirk, while Rasheeda's sobs echoed above the noise. Mama Shirlene held her daughter tightly, whispering furiously, "Let him go, baby. Let him go before he drags you into the grave with him." Kelsey, clutching her mother's arm, cried, "We don't need him, Mom. We're strong without him. Please, let's just leave." But Rasheeda didn't leave. Not yet. Her tears dried into something colder, something sharper. She stood upright, her voice shaking but strong, her eyes locked on Kirk with the fury of a woman scorned. "You've humiliated me, broken me, crushed me in front of the world. But hear me, Kirk Frost, this isn't the end of me. This is the end of you. You will never recover from this. Every fan, every friend, every person who ever respected you will now see you for what you are, a liar, a cheat, and a coward who tried to build two families and ended up destroying them both." Her words were daggers, slicing through the last threads of his dignity. The crowd cheered wildly, Rasheeda's strength igniting them into a frenzy. Social media exploded with declarations of hashtag Team RASHEEDA, the queen rising from the ashes while Kirk crumbled at her feet. Kirk, still on his knees, sobbed uncontrollably, reaching out for a woman who had already turned her back. Jasmine, pale and shaken now, realized the monster she had helped expose wasn't just Kirk, it was herself too. For in tearing down his lies, she had become part of the destruction, and the weight of that truth was beginning to crush her. But the cameras didn't care. They zoomed in on Rasheeda's defiant face, her tears glistening like diamonds under the lights, her strength radiating like fire. And the world knew. This was the moment Rasheeda Frost became more than a reality star. She became a symbol of survival, of strength, of a woman who refused to be broken. The studio roared with applause and gasps, the crew frozen in awe, the world watching breathlessly as the Frost dynasty collapsed. Live on air. But even in the wreckage, live on air. But even in the wreckage, died for telling the truth. While the question lingered like smoke after a fire, was this truly the end? Or was it the beginning of something even more explosive? For Rasheeda, for Kirk, for Jasmine, and for the Frost baby, the drama was far from over, and the world was hungry for the next chapter. The cameras zoomed in tighter as the studio lights burned hotter, catching the anxious expressions across every face in the room. Mona Scott had returned to her seat, but the air refused to settle, thick with accusations that still hung between Kirk, Jasmine, and Rasheeda, like a dangerous storm cloud ready to split open at the faintest crack. No one was speaking, yet the silence screamed louder than any argument could. Kirk's jaw worked side to side, as if he were biting back words he knew might destroy him, while Jasmine leaned forward, one hand clutched around the microphone, eyes locked with Rasheeda in a battle of wills where neither wanted to be the first to look away. It wasn't just television anymore. It felt like a family courtroom where every slight, every betrayal, and every whispered rumor was now on public trial. A whisper broke through the crowd as someone muttered, "This right here, this is about to change the whole game." The cameras picked it up, amplifying the sense that history was being made in real time, and Mona knew it too. Her producer's instinct was electric. But even she sensed the ground beneath her show might fracture under the weight of what was about to unfold. Rasheeda finally shifted in her chair, drawing a collective breath from the audience. She didn't raise her voice, but her words cut like steel. "You think you're slick, Jasmine. You think you can slide into my home, into my family, and think I'm not gonna say something." Jasmine snapped her head to the side, lips curling into a defiant smirk. And her answer was fast, like a match struck to flame. "Your family? If Kirk really cared about that, he wouldn't be blowing up my phone, wouldn't be sneaking around. Don't come at me, Rasheeda, when your man can't stay faithful." Gasps echoed from the crowd, some people covering their mouths in disbelief, others cheering the chaos as if it were the final round of a heavyweight fight. Kirk's hands flew up in protest, his voice cracking with panic. "That's not true. Jasmine, stop lying, you're twisting everything." But his words didn't calm anyone. They only poured more gasoline on an already out-of-control fire. Mona leaned forward, microphone close to her lips, and her tone carried the authority of someone used to reigning over storms. "Jasmine, are you saying right here, right now, that Kirk is still involved with you?" The studio audience erupted again, shouts of "Answer her," and "Tell the truth," rising above the noise. Jasmine paused, milking the moment, eyes flicking between Kirk and Rasheeda. She let the silence stretch long enough to make everyone lean forward, desperate for the verdict. Then she said it, slowly, with enough venom to paralyze the room. "He never stopped." The room exploded. People jumped from their seats. Security surged forward as Rasheeda shot up like lightning, her body trembling with rage. She pointed a finger across the stage at Kirk, her voice sharp enough to slice through the chaos. "So you've been playing me this whole damn time? While I've been out here holding us down, building us up, you've been running around like a dog." Kirk's mouth moved, trying to explain, but no sound came out, the noise around him too deafening. His face was pale, as if every secret he thought was buried had suddenly crawled to the surface under the glare of studio lights. Jasmine wasn't finished. She stood too, her confidence swelling in the face of Rasheeda's fury. "Don't blame me, Rasheeda, he's the one chasing me, promising me things, talking about how he's not happy at home. If your marriage was solid, he wouldn't even look my way." Rasheeda lunged forward, and it took 2 security guards to hold her back as the audience erupted into chants, some shouting "Fight, fight," while others screamed, "Don't do it, Rasheeda." The cameras captured everything, the trembling in her shoulders, the way Kirk's eyes darted like a man trapped, and the smug calm on Jasmine's face that only fueled the tension higher. This wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was a raw collapse of trust, loyalty, and love, displayed for millions to dissect. Mona rose to her feet again, this time shouting above the fray, "Enough! Sit down, all of you, or we will shut this reunion down." But the warning barely touched the surface. The drama had grown larger than her authority, larger than the show itself. Rasheeda, finally restrained back into her chair, leaned forward, voice low but dangerous. "You think you won something, Jasmine. All you did was prove what I already knew: he's weak. And you're desperate. And both of y'all deserve each other." The sting of her words was like a slap that carried further than any hand could reach. Jasmine stiffened, her smirk faltering for the first time, while Kirk buried his face in his hands, looking every bit the man who had lost control of everything. But Mona wasn't ready to let it close just yet. She sensed the viewers at home leaning in, hungry for more. "Kirk," she said firmly, "look at your wife, look at Jasmine, and tell us the truth. Who are you lying to?" The question echoed, the silence afterward louder than the crowd's noise. Everyone waited, the weight of his answer pressing down like gravity itself. Kirk finally raised his head, eyes glossy, voice breaking. "I made mistakes. Too many. And I don't even know how to fix this anymore." It wasn't a confession, not really, but it was enough to rip another round of shouts from the audience. Some jeered, some clapped, some groaned in disgust. Rasheeda shook her head slowly, tears finally breaking past the fury, while Jasmine looked momentarily stunned that Kirk hadn't defended her more directly. The producers gestured frantically from the sidelines, signaling Mona to take a break, but she ignored them. She knew the cameras were capturing television history, the kind of chaos that would trend for weeks and dominate every gossip headline. "We're not cutting away," she barked into her headset. "Keep rolling. The world needs to see this." The audience roared approval, feeding the energy like gasoline to a wildfire. And in that charged, uncontrollable storm, the reunion reached a point of no return, where every second was more explosive than the last. And the question hanging over everyone was no longer whether the truth would come out. It already had. It was how many lives would be burned to ash in the fallout. The set had become a battlefield disguised as a stage. And while the lights still gleamed and the cameras still rolled, everyone could sense that what was unfolding had slipped beyond production, and editing. It was raw, unpredictable, and bleeding with truth. Kirk sat slumped, unable to meet anyone's eyes. His shoulders hunched like the weight of the world had settled there and refused to budge, while Rasheeda's chest rose and fell in uneven bursts, her fury now mixed with a grief so deep it felt bottomless. And Jasmine, though she tried to keep her chin lifted and her body language fierce, began to betray the cracks of someone who realized she might have pushed too far and had underestimated the storm she unleashed. Mona Scott, still trying to hold the reunion together, shifted tactics. Instead of barking commands, she leaned forward and lowered her voice, coaxing confessions as though she were less a producer and more a judge guiding testimonies in a trial. "Rasheeda," she said softly, microphone close, "after everything you've heard, do you believe your marriage to Kirk can survive?" The question cut through the noise like a blade, and all eyes swung back to Rasheeda, who swallowed hard. Her face caught between rage and sorrow, her voice trembling yet strong. "Survive? Mona, how many times does a woman have to survive the same wound? This ain't the first time, and it probably won't be the last. Because Kirk, he don't change. He says he's sorry, he cries, he swears it'll be different, and then he's right back where he started. So maybe the real question is, why the hell am I the one always carrying the pain for his choices?" The audience snapped and applauded, women in the crowd standing and cheering her on, shouting "Preach," while Kirk's face burned red, his eyes darting nervously as though searching for an exit that didn't exist. Jasmine, stung by the wave of sympathy building for Rasheeda, leaned into her microphone, unwilling to lose the upper hand. "Don't turn this on. Willing to lose the upper hand. Don't turn this on me like I'm the problem," she snapped. "You want to act like the victim, but deep down you know he's not satisfied. You know he comes running to me because he's not getting what he needs at home." Gasps cut through the room like knives, and the security team tensed again, prepared for Rasheeda to leap out of her seat, but instead she left a bitter, hollow sound that carried more venom than any physical blow could. "Girl," Rasheeda said, shaking her head slowly, "if you think being someone's escape makes you the prize, then you more lost than I thought. You can have the scraps. You can have the lies. Because at the end of the day, a man that'll betray his wife with you will betray you with the next one too. You ain't special. You just next in line." The audience erupted, half gasping at the savagery of the line, half cheering Rasheeda's strength, while Jasmine's face flushed with rage, her fists tightening as though she could barely keep from lunging forward. Kirk finally slammed his hands on the table in desperation, his voice shaking as he shouted, "Enough, both of you. Stop this. You think I wanted this to play out here in front of the world? I made mistakes, but I'm still trying to keep my family together, and y'all turning this into a circus." Mona raised her eyebrows, seizing the opening, and fired back with surgical precision. "No, Kirk, this is not a circus. This is accountability. You sat here season after season, episode after episode, making promises, begging forgiveness, asking Rasheeda to believe in you again, and yet here we are. So maybe the real question is, why should she or anyone believe you anymore?" The crowd roared in approval, and Kirk's face crumpled as the magnitude of Mona's words settled in, leaving him visibly shaken. The cameras zoomed in tighter, catching every tear that slid down Rasheeda's cheek, every twitch in Jasmine's jaw as she tried to cling to defiance, and every drop of sweat that glistened on Kirk's forehead as he drowned in his own confessions. Somewhere in the back row, a fan shouted, "She deserves better," and the chant began to spread through the audience until dozens of voices thundered in unison, "She deserves better. She deserves better." Rasheeda closed her eyes, absorbing the chant like fuel, her body trembling with a mix of validation and pain, and when she opened them again, she fixed her gaze on Kirk, her voice clear and unyielding. "You hear that, Kirk? They see what I've been too blind to admit. I do deserve better. And I think it's time I finally give that to myself." The declaration sent a shockwave through the set, as though the very foundation of the show had shifted. Jasmine's smirk faltered completely now, replaced by uncertainty. Because without Kirk's power over Rasheeda, her role as the other woman lost its grip, its purpose. Mona, sensing that the climax had arrived, leaned back in her chair, satisfied yet bracing for the fallout. The energy in the room was electric, a dangerous cocktail of heartbreak, empowerment, betrayal, and defiance. And as the cameras rolled on, The reunion ceased being entertainment and became a live unraveling of love and loyalty on trial before the world. Every second pushing deeper into uncharted territory where reputations would be shattered, alliances would collapse, and lives would never be the same again. Under the blazing studio lights, the tension lingered in the air like smoke after a fire, thick and suffocating, pulling every eye and every ear deeper into the unraveling drama of Rasheeda, Kirk, and Jasmine, as though the set itself had transformed into an arena where love, betrayal, and survival were battling for dominance. And the world was invited to watch every wound rip open in real time, leaving no space for healing or retreat. Rasheeda, now standing rather than sitting, had reclaimed her power with a voice that trembled only because of the raw weight of truth, not weakness, and as the chant of "she deserves better" thundered through the crowd, she pressed her hand against her chest as though steadying the heart that had endured far too much. The same heart Kirk had chipped away at time and time again, yet the same heart that still beat with a defiant rhythm, a refusal to be silenced or erased. Kirk, unable to stand, slouched under the weight of every eye, his lips parting as though searching for the right words, but the words betrayed him, spilling out as broken fragments. "Rasheeda, I didn't mean, I thought I was protecting you," words that sounded hollow against the backdrop of his history. Words that bounced back at him with the sting of hypocrisy. Jasmine, cornered, yet unrelenting, refused to vanish into shame, her tone sharp, her body tense, as she hissed, protecting her. "Kirk, you weren't protecting anybody but yourself, and you know it. You used me, you used her, you used everybody just to keep your secrets hidden. Don't twist this to look like you're some hero." The audience gasped, some leaning forward in their seats as though afraid to miss even a syllable. And Mona Scott, queen of control in chaos, gestured subtly for the cameras to zoom tighter, hungry to capture every bead of sweat, every twitch, every tear. Rasheeda tilted her head slowly, her eyes locked on Jasmine, and for the first time her voice dropped to a near whisper, a quiet storm that commanded silence. "You think you know my pain. You think you understand what it feels like to watch the man you built a life with, a business with, a family with, betray you not once, not twice, but so many times I lost count. And you think standing there with your little smirk makes you powerful. Girl, the only thing you are is proof that hurt people will settle for crumbs because they're too scared to demand the feast they deserve." The crowd erupted, some clapping, others shouting, "Say it louder," while Jasmine's face twisted with fury, her nails digging into the arm of her chair as though clawing for control. Kirk raised his voice again, desperate to be heard above the noise, his tone cracking as he pleaded, "Stop, both of you stop. You're tearing this apart in ways we can't fix. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I lied. But everything I did was because I was scared of losing my family. Scared of being alone. Scared of facing the truth that I wasn't the man I pretended to be." The confession hung heavy in the air, the kind of raw admission that stripped him bare, but instead of sympathy, it triggered more outrage, with one fan shouting from the audience, "Then why didn't you change?" And the room erupted into murmurs of agreement. Rasheeda's face hardened, her tears now replaced with steel, and she leaned forward, her words deliberate and cutting. "You were scared. Kirk, you think I wasn't scared? You think raising kids while holding a marriage together through humiliation and betrayal wasn't terrifying? You don't get to hide behind fear while I had to live with the consequences of your choices every single day. I was strong because I had no choice. You were weak because you refused to grow up." The crowd gasped again, their energy feeding the flames, and Jasmine, unable to stay silent, jumped back in with venom. "And yet you stayed with him? You stayed through all of it. So don't act like you're innocent. You're just as guilty because you let him walk all over you while pointing fingers at me." The insult landed heavy. The audience split between boos and shocked silence. And Mona raised her eyebrows, sensing the powder keg about to explode. Rasheeda straightened, her eyes burning, and with a deep breath, she let out words that sliced sharper than any blade. "I stayed because I loved him. I stayed because I believed in him. I stayed because I thought loyalty meant something. But today I realize loyalty without respect is just another form of prison. And I'm done serving time." The declaration thundered through the room like a gavel striking down, and fans leaped from their seats, screaming, clapping, waving their arms in solidarity, while Kirk covered his face with his hands, his body shaking with the weight of loss that could no longer be denied. Jasmine, stripped of her smirk, stood frozen, her bravado slipping as the reality settled in that she had not won a man but lost the little power she thought she held. And for once, the cameras caught not the face of a rival reveling in drama but the face of a woman realizing she had been used in a game she could never truly control. Mona, ever the master of spectacle, allowed the silence to linger. every second stretching like eternity, until finally she leaned forward, her voice calm but charged. Ladies and gentlemen, we came here for answers, but what we got was the truth, ugly, painful, and unfiltered. This ain't just television, this is real life. And tonight, everything changed. The cameras zoomed out slowly, capturing the chaos, the heartbreak, the raw unraveling of a family on the edge. And though no one said it aloud, every person in that room knew the truth. This was not the end of the story, only the beginning of a fallout that would haunt them long after the lights went dark. A fallout the world was hungry to witness, dissect, and devour. And so, after all the chaos, the shouting, the tears, the confessions, and the accusations that shook the set and divided not just the Frost family but every single person watching around the world, we are left with one undeniable truth. This story is far from over. Rasheeda's pregnancy, once expected to be a moment of joy and celebration, has turned into the single most explosive turning point in the saga of her and Kirk's relationship. What should have been a simple announcement has spiraled into a storm of betrayal, confrontation, and revelations that nobody could have predicted, leaving fans questioning where loyalties lie, what comes next for the family, and whether this new Frost baby will be the bond that heals old wounds or the breaking point that shatters them forever. The way Rasheeda stood her ground, reclaiming her power and refusing to be silenced, resonated deeply with fans, sparking chants of "she deserves better" that echoed not only inside the studio but across social media, where hashtags erupted within minutes of the footage leaking. Kirk's desperate attempts to explain himself may have won him a shred of sympathy from some, but, for many, his words sounded like echoes of the same promises and apologies they had heard too many times before. And Jasmine, bold and unapologetic, walked away with a reputation even more polarizing than before, some calling her brave for speaking her truth, others branding her as the villain who poured salt into Rasheeda's deepest wounds. The beauty of reality television, and the reason we cannot stop watching, lies in these very moments when the lines between performance and reality dissolve, when emotions run raw, when families fracture and reveal the humanity beneath the cameras. And tonight, we saw it all. We saw a mother fighting for respect, a husband drowning in his own choices, and a woman who became the lightning rod of blame, all converging in a storm that none of them can ever take back. But where does that leave us? Does this new Frost baby become the symbol of hope and redemption, proving that love, no matter how battered, can survive? Or will the baby's arrival intensify every scar, every suspicion, every unresolved betrayal, tearing apart what little remains of the Frost Empire? These are the questions no one can answer yet, but one thing is certain: the world will be watching. And this is where you come in. Yes, you, the one who just sat through the shouting, the revelations, the heartbreak, and the fire. What do you think this means for Rasheeda and Kirk? Do you believe Kirk deserves another chance after all the pain he's caused? Or has Rasheeda finally reached the point of no return? Should Rasheeda walk away and start fresh, empowered by her fans' chants? Or does loyalty demand she fight one more time for the family she's built? And Jasmine, does she deserve forgiveness for her role in exposing the truth? Or has she crossed a line that can never be uncrossed? These questions are bigger than just reality TV. They're about love, trust, betrayal, and survival in the harshest spotlight imaginable. We want to hear from you. Flood the comments with your thoughts, your emotions, your takes on who was right, who was wrong, and what comes next. Don't hold back, because your voice is part of this story now, and together, fans are shaping the narrative as much as the cast themselves. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that like button if you were just as shocked as we were. If you felt every ounce of Rasheeda's pain, every crack in Kirk's voice, and every sting in Jasmine's words, smash that subscribe button, because trust me, this is just the beginning. More twists, more fallout, more revelations are coming, and you do not want to miss a single second. Turn on your notifications so you're the first to know when the next bombshell drops. Because in this world, the drama doesn't stop when the cameras cut, it only gets louder. This has been one of the most explosive chapters in love and hip-hop history, and the Frost family stands at a crossroads that will either make them stronger than ever or tear them apart for good. And the world is watching, waiting, speculating, and reacting with passion. So tell us, is this the moment that rewrites their story forever? Or is it just another painful chapter in a saga with no happy ending in sight? Drop your thoughts below, share this video with every fan who needs to see it. And stay tuned for more updates, more drama, and more truth. Because one thing is guaranteed when it comes to Rasheeda, Kirk, Jasmine, and the Frost legacy: the story is never finished. And the next page might just be the most shocking one yet. So, like, comment, subscribe, and keep the conversation alive because your voice matters. And together, we'll unravel every secret, every twist, every moment of this unfolding storm. Until next time, stay locked in, because the drama never sleeps. And neither should you when history like this is being written before your very eyes.